All right, good morning, everyone. You made it. You're not living under a rock. It's the long coffee break. Today we are joined by Scott Phelan. He is with Envirotech. Going to be talking about our Envirotech's new series of boxes, fan power boxes. There's the CRB and CRQ, which is the quiet one. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Scott. Scott, take it away.
Thank you, Andrew. Appreciate the intro. Again, this is Scott Phelan with Envirotech. Today's session is intended to be a little bit of a quick review of fan-powered boxes, series and parallel. And after we touch upon that, kind of delve deeper into a specific series fan-powered box of a new product that was released within the last 6 months. So from Envirotech, the CRB model base, and then the CRQ quiet model. So with that, just kind of a quick review. Envirotech has a full line of VAV products. On the top end here, you see all the single ducts, cooling, hot water, electric. Middle is fan-powered boxes, is parallel boxes, and series fan-powered, the new one here, the B and the Q. Don't forget, dual ducts are still out there in a retrofit market for those existing installations. Then we also have a low height family of boxes of all the types, single duct, fan-powered, parallel, and series. So on this slide, kind of wanted to just do a reminder of us of series and parallel. On the kind of a line art overview here, we've got the parallel box on the left and the series box, kind of an overview on the right. And just some takeaways just to remind ourselves that on a parallel box, the air comes in from the air handler, the primary air here, on the inlet of flow probes, crosses the valve, and then basically leaves on the discharge there. The fan is in parallel, ergo they call them parallel or variable fan-powered boxes, because the fan being in parallel is only engaged upon a call for heat. Otherwise, the parallel boxes are, for all intents, basically running like a single duct box in their cooling mode. No fan on. And then upon a call or a need for heat in the zone, the fan will engage. It'll bring in what we consider the first stage of heat in many respects, the plenum air above the drop ceiling. That air is typically 70, 72, 75 degrees, mixes it with the 55-degree air, and then discharges it through the outlet of the box and through the grills, registers, ducting, what have you. Heat is satisfied, the fan is turned off, and it runs basically in that cooling mode through the unit here. Comparative, the series fan powered box on the right here has the fan in series of the airflow. Airflow comes in the primary air inlet from the air handler, typically 55-degree air. The fan goes across the fan and through the discharge. And series fan powered boxes, again, the fan is in a continuous on mode during occupied modes. In unoccupied, it is in an intermittent, depending upon how much it wavers from set point. Might intermittently turn on and off, depending upon a need for some additive heat there. But anyway, just kind of a takeaway on how the parallel and the series are kind of lined up, and just some kind of highlight summaries on how these boxes are viewed. We kind of want to show you a different graphic, if you will. This one sometimes makes more sense. Again, the air handler, air comes into the inlet of a parallel box, fan is in parallel, air goes out through the discharge, and then the fan upon a call for heat will engage and bring in that plenum air first, mix it with the 55-degree or traditional air, shoot it out through the discharge. And then if need be, we've got reheat modes of either hot water and or electric to boost it there. With these fans only being engaged on a call for heat, they're typically sized for heating, which is lower CFM traditionally. And so it's a smaller fan motor as compared to series. These have smaller fans. They run only when needed. Majority of the time is in cooling. These come with EC motors or traditional PSC motors as well. On series fan powered boxes, again, just kind of a quick summary on the highlights. There's you see a graphic here. Air comes in, fan is in a continuous on mode during occupied and mixes that plenum with the 55-degree air. And again, also if need be, can have a reheat of hot water or electric on these. These fans having to be sized for able to handle cooling and heating will be typically larger fan motors as compared to parallel, because they have to be able to be sized to handle max cooling, which is typically the larger of the two, heating or cooling CFM. And also it has a constant sound source. Some folks like to size up or design series fan when it's a sound sensitive application of a need for a parallel or a series fan, because that way you size it for a known entity of that fan operating and you size it accordingly for the decibel value outputs of that fan, both radiated and discharge versus parallel, it's going to be intermittent at times upon a call for heat. And that could be a nuisance depending upon where it is installed in the job site. So just kind of, again, just some highlights. And on this slide, just kind of want to do a quick review of the boxes parallel. Again, fan on only during heating mode, off during cooling. Fan size for heating, typically a smaller motor. Sound sensitive, not so much with parallel because it can be objectionable with that intermittent turning the fan on and off upon a call for heat. System fan on the main air handler has to be sized to handle pushing the air through that parallel box because the fan is traditionally or in the majority of the operation in an off mode, only engaged on the call for heat. So it has to overcome all that drops on the box, the unit, the heating coils, what have you. Where applied, these typically are applied as a rule of thumb in perimeter zones, parallel boxes of buildings, whereby the load might vary during the day and during the seasonality of it, with the sun rising and setting and maybe colder on the perimeter, maybe in the winter climate. And so you might see, again, as a rule of thumb, not in all cases, single box on the core interior of the building, and then parallel boxes with heating around the perimeter of the building there to help provide sufficient need for heating as the seasonality and the sun and whatnot. As a quick review of series, we've got fan on continuous during occupied, fan size for cooling, a bigger fan, constant sound source. So typically it's good for sound sensitive applications because you size it for an entity that you know, constant and intermittent during unoccupied mode. And where you'll apply typically as a rule of thumb, series fan powered boxes is whereby you need continuous air movement applications. And you might see them specifically in maybe interior zones, such as a conference room, whereby the loads of people, large groups, small groups coming and going, the loads of the people, the computers and whatnot that comes with large groups and varying groups. Series fan might help provide the sufficient need and comfort for those zones. See them in large office spaces, lobbies to handle the challenges with opening and closing of the doors and people coming and going, some banquet rooms, some laboratories as well too. So just some rules of thumb of where you see these parallel and series boxes. From that, we'd like to kind of delve into the new box of EnviroTech, series fan powered box, both standard, base, and quiet. The B is the base and the Q is quiet, associated with quiet boxes. And I'm going to kind of cover both of these box families. They're kind of from the same family with some slight nuances between the two, but the main thing is you'll see common features, offerings that we're going to talk through today, common between both products, with the exception of the attenuator on the quiet box. So the base and the quiet come with obviously cooling only, hot water, 1 through 4 row coils, electric heat. They come with EC motors and PSC motors as well. We still have a need for PSC out there in a lot of the markets with retrofit, renovation, what have you. But EC is kind of becoming the standard, I think we all agree. And we've got a number of offerings that we reached out to customers, yourselves, clients, jobs, lessons learned. And hopefully we successfully implemented a lot of these new feature sets, offerings, and requests from customers onto these boxes, some of which I'm just going to kind of highlight here. Again, these features sets are common to both the base CRB and the quiet, the CRQ model. And some of the ones just kind of want to touch upon would be, we have them available in sizes 7 through 45. That represents low, say 700 CFM, and a little below that as well, up to as high as 4,500 CFM on these fan powered boxes. Again, they come with cooling only, hot water, and electric. We have the quiet model. We have a separate slide. We'll touch upon that one a little more. And these come with a variety of liners, thicknesses, all the various offerings, foil, closed cell, micromat, fiberglass, double wall, things like that, as you would come to expect and need. On filter offerings with COVID, with everything we're seeing in the world today, we do have a nice offering, if you will, of filters, both from 4, 8, and 13, available in either or, selectable as they're selected in 1-inch throwaway or a 2-inch pleated filter medium. So that's kind of a nice here. MERV 13 being the big common one. We see a lot more of late here with the global pandemic as we see it. But again, all MERVs available, and you can also get it with no filter as well. EC motors, we have single phase motors available on EC, both in constant airflow and in something new for us, constant torque. So traditionally VAV is in constant airflow, and we definitely have that, and that'll be the norm for most of the applications. But we do offer as well constant torque motors as well. And that over time can provide up to 10% savings on the application. And again, you have nuances with constant torque versus constant airflow. Again, available in both. We also have a 480 volt three-phase motor available in constant torque, something new that we're offering on the VAV as well too. Only that one is available in constant torque. So anyway, just some key things, availability with the motors, EC and PSC motors, as we talked about. Some other features available on these family of boxes are, again, just highlighting some key takeaways, is what we call or noted as contractor flexible features. These are things that contractors, mechanicals, installers, building operators kind of harped on and said, it'd be nice to have these things. So a lot of these are accessibility to the box, to the high and low voltage things. Some things that will have individual slides to highlight is the bottom and front axis. So what we mean by that is here you have the low voltage and high voltage panel, and we have access both from the front here, and we have a hinged access on the bottom here that you can access. So sometimes a contractor said, I just need to go in there and make a little tweak. Be nice to just have an easy accessibility from the bottom. I go in, I make my adjustment, I leave. But then if I need a little more time intensive, maybe checking out and accessing the panels for service, for operation, for control, whatever it might be, we have the ability to remove the front panels. We also have a standard 90-degree standard or 90-degree enclosure. The high voltage on the unit and electric heat would be in 90-degree reference to the airflow. I have a slide to show that as well too. All these units on the B and the Q are flippable 180-degree on their axes of plane. And they can operate as well, electric, hot water, what have you. That's a feature that folks have asked for as well too, and we have it on these units. Hot water coils, Envirotech manufactures all their coils, 1, 2, 3, 4 rows. And something unique and different we have on these is traditionally half-inch diameter, tube diameter is what's the norm on VAV. We also offer 3/8 tube diameter. And why that's a benefit is with a lot of these applications of high efficiency boilers, you can get a little more extra heating capacity on that. And we see it as a benefit, and price points as well too. Hot water coil packages, got a slide to talk about that. Controls as well, and we'll have subsequent slides that kind of hit one each individually. So some key features here on these units. First thing, just got to spend a little time on obviously the unique difference between the Q and the B that is different from the B is the sound attenuator. So on the Q, we have the sound attenuator here on the unit, on the Q model. It's a true hard, sheet metal with lining on it to help suppress sound. That typically is the culprit from the fan, emanating out from the fan to the plenum outlet. And radiated is the big one that obviously a sound attenuator and a fan powered box helps to suppress, as well as, discharge. You all have concerns as discharge and radiate, but sound attenuator is the big one. When we looked at this and designed it and tested it, we knew we had to be obviously a competitive contender. And the way we compare that is by looking on the open market, looking at units, testing them, looking at sound data of our other manufacturers in the industry. And this is just one example of, say, competitor X. We looked at their sound compared to ours, and this table is just meant to represent, as far as a quick color eye chart, if you will, anything with red or a shade of red is indicative that our sound on the representative volume of ear, size unit, whatever, is quieter than the competition in this case, by either 1, 2, 3, or more dBs on those various octave bands on discharge and radiator. If you see a white, that means we're a wash. We're as comparable to the other manufacturer in that case. On the same note, honestly, if it's a green, that competitor might have been 1 dB quieter in our case. But hopefully you'll see what we feel is a large takeaway here is in the large majority of all octave bands, all CFM ranges, all unit sizes, a huge leader in the quiet box, series fan powered box market here with the CRQ from Envirotech. I've got similar charts from all the other manufacturers out there that are very similar as far as what we represented there. On this one, again, just kind of a pull-out chart, if you will. We wanted to talk about the other features. This is the side panel, front and side, gives good accessibility to the users. This one is a 90-degree one. That what we mentioned is it's 90 degree to the airflow, so the unit can be accessed here from the front. And typically we have a lot of real estate here on the side that doesn't harbor any kind of a wall or a pipe, what have you. And so it helps meet NEC clearance of 36, 42, whatever it is, depending upon the voltage. So this is available on the Q and the B model. All electrical heat offerings are available on these units, and just switches, proportional staging, what have you. And on the flippability market, this just is kind of a representative of what we mean by flippability. Here would be maybe the base unit, and then if you were to rotate it 180 degrees, this unit would be operational in that mode as well too. So very useful in some challenging installations whereby you need to maybe flip that unit from what the original intent was. On the coil offerings, I think we already talked about that. This is what we mean by coils, 1 through 4 rows. And the key takeaway is, again, we have 1/2 inch, which is the standard in VAV markets. We also have the option of 3/8, which gives a little more maybe rows and circuit on the real estate of the coil to help with challenging BTU requirements that might be there, as well as cost points as well in the marketplace with that coil offering. Valve packages, a nice key offering. Folks like that. You can get these with valve packages from the factory, and you can get them in an either or, provided and mounted, or provided and shipped loose and field mounted, whatever works best for your project itself. And all the options you would expect to see with pick valves, on-off, two-way, proportional, two-way, what have you, strainers, flexible hosings, things like that, all are available, selectable with the valve package offerings on the B and the Q. And then the last slide here is just controls offerings as well. We do have controls on the units. They come either with or without controls. If you do need controls, we have VAV DDC controllers that would come factory provided, factory mounted, and factory configured with all your min-max CFM parameters, as well as the application specific to the selection application need on that job site. So again, thermostats, controllers, all unique for the intention of being a full bundled offering on VAV, adding more and more on the VAV, providing a lower installed cost is our intent, and providing a more of a arrive alive option. So with that, I thank you for the opportunity to kind of give you a quick snapshot of the product, parallel series, and a little more delved into the new CRB and Q from EnviroTech. So thank you. With that, I'll turn it over to Andrew.
Next week, we have Chris Viscani. He is going to be partnered up with Tower Tech, and the topic is, can your tower do this? Tune into that. It's going to be cool. See what I do there? Also, September 17th, we have our long disc golf tournament. If you're interested in that and want to come out and have some fun with us, get a hold of your long sales engineer. And last but not least, we want to hear back from all of you who like to join the coffee break on ideas for future topics. So reach out to your long sales engineer and maybe give them some suggestions for what you might want to hear in the future. With that, we look forward to seeing you next week, and thanks for joining us. Have a good day. Bye-bye.